Okay, just installed this FAE fresh air exhaust. I did the base level, least amount of cost on the website options. Used good website, good ordering process, really wonderful customer support. This attaches, this is its own different flange. Part of the install was getting used to the language. Like I'm not in the industry, so learning what some of this stuff was. Let's see if I can keep my notes from flying away. So this is a flange. It installed right onto the existing exhaust. All I had to do was remove the flappers. I did not order the flappers because when the engine's running, it's pushing air out. It's kind of like drowning. You can't drown if you're exhaling. When you inhale, that's when it is the issue. But if the motor's running, it's going to push air out. Really important to get this angle here, longer part down, very clear on the instructions there. Did need to drill a hole here and a hole there. It's covered by this clamp. Cutting these brackets, they installed brilliantly onto the existing hinge. So again, getting used to the lingo was probably the hardest part. I didn't tighten anything up until the final, but I really like it's got end caps for it. It just looks polished. I think I'm very pleased with the process. I did have notes about stuff. I called over to Larry, who answered the phone. Wasn't clear on a couple of things. One, this distance from here to there, and this distance right in here. And in his notes, once I read it and reread it a few times, it started to make sense. I just needed to get used to the language. And then tools that I needed, really, I had a few things here already, just as you own stuff. 3M 5200 Marine Sealant, that was easy. And I did buy a step bit, but I didn't end up using it. I have bits here already, and the bits are, they're written in the instructions, and it might be different for your boat, but any of these series of boats that have the dual exhaust and a hydraulic hinge for its surf setup, pretty easy to install. Now that I've done it, of course, I think I could probably do it in like an hour. No real significant notes. A lot of questions that I had going through it. Quite concerned about the ability for me and my skill set to install this. We have a teak deck on this one. I was able to take that off by myself. I did the full install by myself. Would be nice to have like a step-by-step process, but really they had it all figured out, right from the tips and tricks sheet that comes with it, plus all of the proper gear. So next up, I gotta shine it up again, replace some stuff here. Oof, and probably fix that car tire too. Very pleased with it. Looking at it from a side profile, it does have a slight angle upward, and also the down pipe has a little bit of an angle to it. So that was a question that I had. Larry was great to answer them. These are the notes that I had to ask Larry. And then again, you got to read through my scribble, but distance from transom, that's all determined by where this fits in here. He said roughly 3/4 of an inch. I've got 1.25 inches in this gap right here. So I'm happy with that. Height from the bottom of the down pipe to the ground versus the center of the propeller shaft, and then subtract the difference. It's roughly 4 inches difference there. They, in the instructions, say that it's a 2.5 to 3.5 inches is the sweet spot, but they've had longer. It seems like the little bit longer is gonna bury the noise as well as the exhaust, but create a little bit of drag. It's honestly right in the prop wash. So this 1 inch or 1/2 of an inch of difference, I think, is going to be just fine. And again, in the instructions it says hundreds or thousands of boats have had this installed with 5 inches of difference between this X, Y, and Z is what they call it. Wanted to do the full install on video, just don't have the tech or the patience, but ended up having the drill bits here. I was able to use a sawzall to cut down and modify this pipe system. So that was one thing that I was a little bit concerned about. Is I'm not really super mechanic dude, but I was able to really use whatever I had around the house here to shorten this, drill holes in here, and then mount these brackets on both sides and drill these things down. These what do they call them? Flanges come with a drain for mine, not all of them, I guess. So you got to make sure that you install those properly. So there's a drain hole that's in there. Maybe I can put that underneath there. And then also, if you do order the flappers, this just comes by default with flapper drill holes on the top and the bottom. When I spoke to Larry, he did say a lot of people have that question, but it's just not necessary because I didn't order the flappers. And again, because if the motor's running, it's pushing air out, so water's not going to go up and in. Lock screws are underneath here. Very, very simple. Drill through the white dot. It comes with, you can't see it now, but it comes with really plug and play instructions. I did have to read it a few times. I looked at a few other videos. I got misdirected by some of the videos just because it's not the same style of boat. And I thought I had to go inside the boat and take out apart other stuff, but I didn't need to do any of that. So again, I think I could probably do this in like 1 to 2 hours. It's probably realistic, but even more as you get into projects, just double or triple that. But first time install, I feel very comfortable about it. Eager to see what happens when I put it out in the water. Pretty sturdy. Does have just a slight amount of play, but nothing that isn't going to affect stuff when I get going down the lake. Excited to install something that won't have carbon monoxide. Watched a couple of videos that also FAE has supporting how carbon monoxide is an issue with boats. It's never an issue with the surfer, whether you have this system or not. If you do the research on the videos like I did, you'll discover that those carbon monoxide concerns are really inside the boat and in what's typically an area where you put people and bodies. So this will help push that carbon monoxide down and then certainly away and reduce those emissions. Haven't had any issue, but just as concerns go about this carbon monoxide. Really not sure what else to let you guys know other than it's a plug and play system. This is a 2011 MasterCraft X35. Needs a little bit of a cleanup and has some scratching. I did take care of removing any of the decals. Once the season slows down here, I'll go through and I'll do a nice bright polish up on it. So all that being said, feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to respond. I don't sit all day every day on the internet, so be patient with my response timing. But hopefully, if you're considering getting an FAE exhaust system, I'd say go for it. Pretty simple install. Really, this one is plug and play. It slaps right onto the existing exhaust system. Uses these flanges. You could see the other exhaust system right there. Didn't need to remove any of that. Thought I needed to. Started to actually. But then revisited what was supposed to happen. Talked to a buddy of mine who's an engineer, and he goes, why don't you just mount it to the existing one? And I thought, okay, all right. I started to look ahead of time, going through videos, didn't read through the instructions first, was trying to prep myself, and then sure enough, once I opened up the instructions, it says just slap it right on the exterior part. So pulling out 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, pull off the flapper screws, 1, 2 that were there, remove the flapper, put the flange on, adjust the coupler here, this hose which comes with it all, to make sure to cover up these holes for the flapper that are drilled in there that I did have a question about but I didn't need, and then make sure that you have that drain hole properly positioned so it's moving down. Comes with a cork on it, and I just put a little bit of the I think it's 5200 3M glue, so you can see some right there on the threads. Didn't put it on the cork, put the threads in there, didn't crank it down too tight because you could break the bolts off. Left everything loose and just loose fit everything. Found out the distance. These were roughly 4 more inches longer, and a sawzall really just took care of it all. Sawzall and a couple of drill bits that I had here. Really didn't need any trips to the store for me. Of course I did them in thinking I needed to prepare for it, but honestly, just read through the instructions. For me, it was getting the language down and understanding their intention of what a hinge is versus wedge, and just other lingo that's industry knowledge for either fabricators or different boat companies like Malibu, Access, and so forth. And Supra, and the list goes on, and they all call it something different. So for this boat with a built-in trim tab system, I would say get one, slap it on. I could have spent a couple more bucks and not had to mess with these deals. I think it was $50 or $70, and it would just been a bright stainless steel deal. But I think the shipping would have cost a little bit more, and I'm really quite pleased with this. I think this works just fine. That'll have full use of that. And I'm wondering if there's anything else that I could put on video for you here. Instructions were very helpful. Again, I'll post this up on my YouTube channel. I don't do anything with my YouTube channel usually for kite surfing lessons and stuff like that, and foiling and winging and windsurfing. So that's what the primary use of that channel is. Certainly welcome to like and subscribe to that, but I don't lean on it for any type of a revenue. Just hopefully finding this useful and helpful for you as you consider getting into your own FAE. Really good setup. Eager to see how it works.